Ukraine with these audacious attacks, striking Russia, evidently without our knowledge, disrespecting President Trump, and he is holding his cards to the vest because he's got a mess on his hands. And part of the mess is America's involvement. So you tell me Ukraine strikes Russia continually without our knowledge, evidently, and you think we should continue to financially support Ukraine? What's the end game? What's the end game? These are reasonable questions. Janet is in Oregon who makes the case that Ukraine should continue to get our support. Hi, Janet. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, sweetie. I just started listening to you, and I enjoy it very much.
Thank you, Janet. Well, welcome to the family. We're glad you're with us. Tell me why you think we should continue to fund Ukraine.
Because Putin went over there, and he's a bad person.
Right.
And his soldiers went over there and started and thrashed that country.
Right.
They have beautiful women over there, beautiful men, beautiful children, a beautiful country, beautiful buildings,
right.
History, and so he deserves what he gets.
Okay,
Putin.
well let me.
Not their country, really, but
right. Well, let me ask you then. Okay, and we can agree that Putin's a bad guy, and the invasion of Ukraine was horrible. So
and
what?
So, and then you want to know about.
Well, let me hang on. Hang on. Let me ask you the question. So, do you think there's any scenario where Ukraine can defeat Russia?
I don't know, but they started it, and they hurt babies and they hurt children.
That's a different subject, though. I know that. Well, Ukraine is hurting babies and children, too. I mean, there's a lot of Russians.
Well, I can't help that. They started it.
Okay. It. So you want us to...
I don't really want them to hurt... No one wants them to hurt babies and children or adults, but we can't get to Putin, okay?
Right.
We cannot get to him. He's killed people, and he's an evil...
Right.
Someone should have taken care of that problem a long time ago.
We got that, but he's still in control, and he's still got his army, and he's still got his nuclear capabilities. And you say you don't know if you're going to fund Ukraine. What do you think the end game is? What's the goal? What's the end result in our taxpayer support of Ukraine?
Well, look where all the taxpayers' money's going anyway. To all kinds of other stuff. And it's just not helping the world a whole lot.
I got you. All right, Jenna. Well, we're glad. Sorry, we have to disagree on this. I'm not making any progress with you, but I really would like to find somebody who can tell me what they think the end game is going to be. You think Ukraine's going to defeat Russia? You think Ukraine is going to topple Russia? And then what do we do? Should we have boots on the ground in Russia and Ukraine? How far do you want to go? This is about 50-50. Connecticut sends me a text on the MyPillow text line. The never-ending war proponents need to abandon the notion of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Russia was an ally in World War II. Afghanistan was a friend when they were fighting Russia. Sometimes we have to let them kill each other off and let God sort it out. Well, I'm a little cynical approach. I'm not sure I go with that. But Tom makes a point. How far should our funding for Ukraine go? And what are we going to do if and when that dreadful moment occurs when Russia decides to retaliate against us? Kenny is in St. Louis, Missouri. Hey, Kenny, welcome to the Mike Gallagher Show. How are you today?
Just fine. How are you, Mike?
I'm great, sir. What's up?
All right. Well, the forever war, I'm not for it, but I believe that we are obligated to keep spending money there.
I see. Are we obligated?
You had a caller before who expressed the fact that we gave our word to back them if they gave up their nuclear weapons.
Sure. So should we back them and go to war with Russia, Kenny? You want to go to war with Russia?
No, but here's the deal.
What are we going to do if they retaliate?
Means nothing.
What are we going to do if they retaliate? What if Russia decides they're cornered? What if they're so frustrated at our support for Ukraine that Russia decides to retaliate against us?
Let me ask you this. what are we going to do if Russia attacks a NATO country?
I understand.
We gave our word to them too.
You just changed the subject. I want you to stay focused. Do you want to go to war with Russia or not?
No, I don't.
Why not? Why not? We gave our word to Ukraine to help them. You said, Kenny.
I said I don't want to. But we may have to.
Oh, we may have to.
We gave our word to protect them.
Got it. So
whoever did it, I don't remember.
So you think it's worth losing American lives in a battle, in a war with Russia, which would likely be a nuclear war, because you say we gave our word to Ukraine that we'd have their back? You realize what that sounds like?
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean,
our word has no meaning whatsoever.
Then let's go to war with Russia, Kenny. Let's get into a nuclear conflict with Russia because we gave our word to Ukraine, right?
Well, if that's what it turns out to be,
okay.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
If that's what it turns out to be. Now, I don't mean this to be disrespectful because you sound like a great guy. I have a hunch you and I aren't of fighting age. So when you're committing troops, I'll bet that doesn't involve you or your kids, does it? You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't, but Vietnam was.
Well, God bless you, and appreciate your service. And you gave ably, and you served this country. Now don't expect us to have your grandkids serve this country in a war with Russia. Kenny, I mean this with love, and I mean this with respect. You don't want us to go to war with Russia, period. And at some point, we got to turn off the spigot. At some point, enough is enough. At some point, we got to realize that there's a reason that the Bill Kristols of the world and the Mike Pences of the world are enamored with supporting Ukraine, because they never met a forever war they didn't like. Period. How about we pay our debts? How about we get our own act in order? How about we get our house in order? How about we pass the big beautiful bill and ramp down our massive debt before we keep giving billions and billions and billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine? Look, I admit I'm surprised at the amount of callers who are in favor of funding Ukraine. It's intriguing to me, and I appreciate it. Look, Kenny, I appreciate your point of view. We all agree to disagree today, but that's okay. And I've got Robert here in Michigan, same thing. Fund Ukraine. Let me quickly, and I'm up against a clock here. I'm up against a hard break, Robert, but let me quickly ask you, you want to go to war with Russia?
If I get a chance to elaborate, if we have to go to war with Russia, we do. But here's the real deal. I'm the smartest person that ever called your show. I'll tell you some stuff. There's always been the big bad wolf at the door. The generals and admirals go to say we need this many nukes, we need the boomer submarines, we need all these bombs. The truth of the matter is Russia's nuclear stockpile is a mess. It's left over from the old USSR. Most of the stuff will blow up in the silos or on launch.
Like I said, I'm fighting the clock. I'm fighting the clock on this one. Again, as smart as you are, I can't get past your opening sentence. If we go to war with Russia, so be it?
Yes, because they will surrender, because they know they cannot possibly win.
I got you. We're going to beat Russia in a war. Okay, thank you, Robert. Couple of old timers, and look, I say that with respect. I respect my elders, but we got a lot of older Americans are calling this show saying, "Hey, so be it. Let's go to war with Russia. Okay, let's go right ahead. We'll beat them." Yeah, like I said, Robert, you don't want to play that game. You're playing a game of chicken with somebody else's kids. Maybe your own, maybe your grandkids. And I think there's just people that sit around and say they never met a war, a conflict that they didn't salivate over. So it's a new day. 2025 is a new time. And here's the good news. Here's the great news. We got a president, we got a commander-in-chief who I believe with all of my heart is going to handle this and is going to figure this out. And that's why we got to keep praying for the Trump administration, because we got a mess on our hands that he's going to have to sort out. And you can tell from his actions and what he's saying about Putin. And he is not Putin's stooge. He is not Putin's ally. He just doesn't want to pick a fight with a war that your neighbor's kids are going to have to fight.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.